direct our noble cause, guide our leaders right, help our youth the truth to know, in love and honesty to grow, and living just and true. Great lofty heights attain to build a nation where peace and justice reign. Amen and amen. Please be seated as you put your hands together for the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Your Excellency, Senator Kashim Shettima, GCON, Vice President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, the special guest of honor at this very epoch-making event, the retreat for the leadership of the National Assembly. Can we have some quiet, please? Your Excellency, Distinguished Senator Goodwill Obot Akpabio, CON, President of the Senate and Chairman, Governing Council, National Institute for Legislative and Democratic Studies. Your Excellency, the Right Honorable Abbas Tajuddin, PhD, Speaker, House of Representatives and alternate Chairman, Governing Council, National Institute for Legislative and Democratic Studies. Our host, Governor, Your Excellency, Pastor Umar Enobasi, ably represented here by the Deputy Governor of Akwa Ibom State, Your Excellency Senator Akun Eyakenyi, PhD. Your Excellency, Distinguished Senator Jibrin Barao, CON, Deputy President of the Senate and Chairman, Senate Committee on Constitution Amendment. Your Excellency, Honorable Benjamin Kalu, Deputy Speaker, House of Representatives. Your Excellency, the Right Honorable Femi Gbajabiamila, CFR, immediate past Speaker, House of Representatives, and Chief of Staff to the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Your Excellency, Distinguished Senator Anyim Pius Anyim, GCON, former President of the Senate, of the Fourth Senate, and former Secretary to the Government of the Federation. Your Excellency, Distinguished Senator Ken Namani, GCON, former President of the Fifth Senate, would like to appreciate your presence here this morning. Your Excellency, Distinguished Senator David A.B. Mack, GCON, former President of the Sixth and Seventh Senate, Federal Republic of Nigeria, we appreciate your presence, sir. Your Excellency, Distinguished Senator Ahmed Ibrahim Lawan, PhD, GCON, the immediate past President of the Ninth Senate. Your Excellency, Right Honorable Olubomi Patricia Ete, CFR, former Speaker, House of Representatives. The Leader of the Senate, Distinguished Senator Dr. Michael Okpeyemi Bamidele, CON. The Leader of the House of Representatives, Honorable Professor Julius Ihanwere, OON. Principal officers of both Senate and House of Representatives here present, distinguished senators and honorable members of the House of Representatives here present, members of the Federal Executive Council on the entourage of His Excellency the Vice President, the Speaker, Akwa Ibom State House of Assembly, Right Honorable Udeme Otong, and members of the State Assembly present, the Executive Chairman, National Assembly Service Commission, Engineer Ahmed Kadi Amshi, the Clerk to the National Assembly, Alhaji Sani Magaji Tambuwal, ably represented this morning by the Permanent Secretary, Finance and Accounts, National Assembly, Mr. Clement Iyang. The chief convener of this very epoch-making retreat for the 10th National Assembly principal officers, former Minister of National Planning and Director General, National Institute for Legislative and Democratic Studies, Professor Abubakar Olarewaju Sulaiman. Honorable Abimbola Ayo Yusuf, Honorable Chief Commissioner, Public Complaints Commission, and commissioners of the agency present here, members of the Akwa Ibom State Executive Council, Your Excellency Johannes Learning, Deputy Head of Mission Embassy of the Republic of Germany to Nigeria, former clerk to the National Assembly Alhaji Sani Mohammed Ataba Omolori, our great partners, Conrad Adnoa Steve Chung, led by the country representative Mariah Peran, our distinguished and revered and carefully selected resource persons, members of the fourth estate of the realm, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. I'd like to, on behalf of the Director General, National Institute for Legislative and Democratic Studies, welcome all of you to this 3-day retreat for the leadership of the National Assembly. It is very important that the 10th National Assembly, having been inaugurated on the 13th of June 2023, following the proclamation issued by the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, His Excellency Ahmed Bola Tinubu, GCFR, that the inauguration, which also was followed with the election of principal officers of the Senate and House of Representatives, the way forward is that an occasion of this magnitude is expected to be able to add to their prowess as lawmakers and policymakers in their decisions that will be taken. And this is also aimed at reigniting confidence in the governance structure of Nigeria. It is without much ado, therefore, Your Excellency, our special guest of honor, and standing on the existing protocols, that I then want to yield the floor to the Director General, National Institute for Legislative and Democratic Studies, Professor Abubakar Olarewaju Suleiman, to please come to the podium for his welcome address. Can we please welcome him to the podium with a very resounding applause, please?
Your Excellency, the Vice President, Federal Republic of Nigeria, Your Excellency Senator Kashim Shettima GCON, President of the Senate and Chairman, NASS Governing Council, Your Excellency, Distinguished Senator Goodwill CON, the Speaker of the House and alternate Chairman of our Governing Council, Your Excellency Right Honorable Abbas Tajuddin PhD. Let me recognize the Executive Governor of Akwa Ibom State, represented by Our Excellency, the Deputy Governor, Senator Hakon Eyakin PhD, Deputy Senate President, Deputy Speaker, Principal Officers of the National Assembly, the former presiding officers here present, gentlemen of the press, permit me to please stand on the existing protocol already established. It gives me immense pleasure to welcome you all to this retreat, organized for leadership of 10th National Assembly. On behalf of the President of the Senate and the Right Honorable Speaker of the House, I extend our heartfelt greeting and welcome to our special guest of honor, His Excellency Kashim Shettima GCON, the Vice President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, as well as all principal officers of the 10th National Assembly. I am also delighted to welcome the Chief of Staff to the President, Right Honorable Femi Gbajabiamila CON, and all former presiding officers of the National Assembly who, in an unprecedented gestures of goodwill, accepted our invitation to grace this retreat and participate as resource persons. We deeply appreciate your patriotism and commitment to sharing your knowledge and experience with the current leadership of the National Assembly. Equally, I would like to recognize and welcome all our other resource persons and head of agencies under the National Assembly, including the National Assembly Service Commission, the National Assembly, and the Public Complaints Commission. The significance of our presence today cannot be overstated. We have all come together with a common purpose to reflect, learn, and strategize on how we can collectively enhance the performance of the National Assembly. This retreat, the first of its kind under the Institute, is aimed at providing an opportunity for the leadership of both chambers to share experiences, identify strategic legislative priority objectives for the 10th National Assembly, and explore ways of aligning the legislative agenda of the respective chambers with the 8-point agenda and renew hope mantra of Mr. President, His Excellency Bola Ahmed Tinubu, GCFR. The only way to achieve the lofty goals of the President is to ensure that the necessary legislative framework supports government actions. The retreat, therefore, will also provide an opportunity for bonding and candid exchange on critical issues before the National Assembly. The focus on the leadership of both chambers is on account of the role they play in influencing and implementing the legislative agenda, as well as their general role in facilitating the effective functioning of the Senate and the House of Representatives. The leadership set the tone for the overall functioning of the Assembly, promote democratic values, and uphold the institution. Recognize that inter-chamber collaboration and synergy are essential components of a bicameral legislature, particularly within the content of the 1999 Constitution that confer equal lawmaking powers on each chamber. Collaborations ensure that diverse perspectives and interests are considered when enacting laws, leading to more balanced, targeted, and fair legislation. It also allows for the pooling of expertise and a consensus-based approach to policy and lawmaking. This retreat is one of several strategies for fostering communication between the chambers and identifying common policy and legislative objectives you can collectively work towards. It is also an avenue to strengthen the legislative relationship between the two arms of government, both headed by serving or former legislatures. As such, Nigerians expect even greater accomplishment and landmark legislation for good governance than as witnessed in the Ninth Assembly. Facilitating this retreat falls within the mandate of National Institute for Legislative and Democratic Study, NASS, which was established in 2011 as the only statutory legislative capacity building institution in Nigeria. The Institute provides technical assistance to members and committees toward evidence-based decision-making. In the last 10 years, the Institute has consistently supported the National Assembly and State House Assembly in drafting bills, motions, resolutions, and briefs of arguments, undertaking critical research, and published its findings to support decision-making in the National Assembly, develop policy, information, and data briefs to bridge the information gap among legislature and staff, organized numerous capacity-building activities for legislatures and all tiers of staff and aides, facilitated international exchange of experience, undertaking legislative advocacy, and introduced postgraduate programs in core legislative areas, including, and not limited to, legislative drafting, parliamentary administration, and legislative studies, among others. In 2017, the Institute Establishment Act was amended to extend its services to other democratic institutions, including political parties, media, civil society organizations, and security agencies. The recent commissioning of the Institute permanent sites along the Airport Road in Abuja is a major step towards realizing the Institute's vision to be the premier legislative support institution in the West African sub-region, the African continent, and indeed beyond. In the last few years, we have extended our core services and assistance to numerous national parliaments in Africa and the ECOWAS parliaments. The leadership of the 9th National Assembly also commissioned the Institute's Legislative Center for Security Analysis and Democracy Radio, which are geared towards providing data-driven analysis to the National Assembly on security issues and promoting democratic values. As we embark on this retreat, therefore, we are reminded of the pivotal role that leadership plays in shaping the future of our country. Your vision and dedications are the cornerstone upon which our very democracy stands. Effectively addressing the myriad challenges that face our country requires a legislature that is competent, committed, and attuned to the difficulties and needs of their constituents. You can build on the successes of the previous assemblies and continue some of the unfinished business, including finalizing work on some critical bills and revisiting some important legislation, including the PI, the Electoral Act, and the Climate Change Act, among others. At this retreat, we have gathered some of the most experienced individuals in the field of legislative leadership, who will share their insights and experiences with participants. Through papers presented, an interactive session, you can explore best practices, innovative strategies, and the latest legislative tool that enhance your performance. Given that this is an in-house affair, I'm sure you will all actively participate in the session, exchange ideas, and engage in open and constructive dialogue. Let me reassure you that the Institute is at hand to provide the necessary intellectual and technical support to the National Assembly to succeed in its lawmaking, oversight, and representation functions. I want to express my profound gratitude to the President of the Senate, the Speaker of the House, and the entire leadership of the 10th Assembly for this initiative and the support they offer towards implementing this retreat. While thanking all participants, I also appreciate the Executive Governor of Akwa Ibom State, His Excellency Basi Eno, and his deputy, my colleagues, Senator Dr. Akon Ayake, for the hospitality extended to us and the logistics support given to us. Our most sincere thanks to our partner, the Conrad Administrator, the resident representative, Mrs. Marijan Piran, and her deputy, as well as the whole team of the foundation, for their passion for Nigeria and commitment to strengthen our democratic institutions, especially in National Assembly. We look forward to working together with the leadership of 10th Assembly as we deal with the leadership of the 9th Assembly to strengthen legislative system and processes and review sector-specific legislation toward improved governance. Finally, I thank our distinguished resource persons, most of whom are former presiding officers, facilitators, the planning committee from the Institute, and all those who work tirelessly to make this retreat successful. Your dedication to your various responsibility is commendable. Once again, I extend my warmest welcome to you all, Your Excellency. Thank you, and may our deliberation be productive and worthwhile. Thank you very much.
I'd call for yet another resounding applause for the Director General. His remarks set the tone for this very important retreat. And moving on very quickly because of time, I'd like to please plead with every other speaker that comes on, because we want to ensure that we finish at a very good time. Please, if you don't mind, mention the few other names that are very first, and then you can please stand by the existing protocol so we can move on with the speed of light. Your Excellency, our very special guest of honor, the Vice President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, permit me to stand by the existing protocols at this point as I invite the sponsors of this event and our great partners of the National Institute for Legislative and Democratic Studies to please take the stage. I therefore yield the floor to the resident representative of Conrad Adnoa Stifton, CAS in Nigeria. Let's welcome Mariah Peran for her remarks.
Your Excellency, the Vice President, Kashim Shettima, GCON, the President of the Senate, Distinguished Senator Goodwill Akwa, CON, the Speaker of the House of Representatives, Right Honorable Abbas Tajuddin, the Governor Akwa Ibom State, His Excellency Umo Bassi Eno, the leadership of the 10th National Assembly, distinguished senators, right honorable members, the DG NILS, Professor Abubakar Sulaiman. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. It is my very great pleasure to also welcome you on behalf of the Konrad Adenauer Stiftung to this two-day retreat for the leadership of the 10th Assembly to identify priority business for the 10th National Assembly and develop strategic and legislative objectives for the legislative agenda of the two respective chambers. Together with our partner, the National Institute for Legislative and Democratic Studies, NILS, we have created a conducive work environment for you to deliberate on the vision of the 10th Assembly and enhance legislative competences through interchamber synergies. The Konrad Adenauer Stiftung, which in short we call Kasse Konrad, is a German political foundation with a mandate to promote democracy, good governance, and the rule of law. We have established more than 100 offices worldwide. And worldwide, working with the parliaments is the core mandate of what we do at KAS. We have been active in Nigeria for more than 20 years now and have been supporting the legislature on the national and state level ever since. Working closely with our Nigerian partners, we have been facilitating platforms for democratic dialogue for members of the National Assembly, as well as many state houses of assembly. We have conducted countless trainings of legislators, as well as administrative staff, like this year's induction trainings, and we have supported legislative processes with technical support and many, many more. We have further been engaged with supporting the security sector reform in the country, where we not only have been providing assistance of various capacity buildings, but also to support an ongoing legislative process in the National Assembly, aiming to foster improved interagency collaboration among the various security agencies. In the wake of the COVID-19 pandemic, KAS extended the fulfillment of its mandate to the executive arm of government in Nigeria. Now, interacting with legislators from both the Senate and the House of Representatives, these past weeks especially, I feel there is a wind of change in the air. It's not a noisy or aggressive, to the contrary. It's like a shared belief that things must change for the better and a clear understanding that this is also the assignment of the National Assembly. Nigeria, and I know we all agree on that, is facing several challenges and needs reforms to live up to its potential to be the real giant of Africa, not only by sheer numbers only, but by thriving through excellence and leadership in the region. If the current challenges are not addressed properly, the situation in the future might become very grim for the youth and for the future of this grand nation. The new government understands this very well, and their proposed necessary reforms, as set out in the government's 3-year economic revival plan, cannot come to fruition if not put into law. This is where the National Assembly comes into play. And the 10th Assembly is faced with very complex tasks, but taking them on can change the fortunes of Nigeria for real. For this to happen, distinguished senators and honorable members need to put in the necessary work and face the changes with willpower and realism. The will is there, but it also needs to be put into practice. And this is when now the legislative agendas come into play. They need to be realistically drafted, split into specific targets, accompanied by a specific timeline. And the many tasks and necessary reforms can be achieved only through a strong and closely monitored legislative agenda. And this is what we are starting also here today. I wish for that wind of change to sustain and to be reflected in measurable results. I wish for us to keep up this format and find sound ways to properly monitor the legislative agendas. Let me assure you, KAS is your partner on this. And I'm convinced that this 10th Assembly can leave a mark, not only in the history books, but in the lives of so many Nigerians. Which is why I hope for a strategic synergy between both chambers. There is so much wisdom, power, and strength in this hall alone. Imagine what change can be achieved within the next 3 years if all of this is put together and put into action. And the prerequisites, we know, they are here. Distinguished President of the Senate, in Akwa Ibom, you have done so well that you already did change the lives of so many people for the better, long-lastingly. And Right Honourable Speaker is likewise a man of hard work who has sponsored a record-breaking number of bills in the House of Assembly and has already started a strategic cooperation process with development partners. To all legislators, I wish for you to address the many challenges collectively and go beyond party lines. The people of Nigeria have elected you, and the people of Nigeria is who you serve. Thank you for taking this service and your leadership positions seriously. It will benefit them, the Nigerian citizens, but in extension, it will benefit the Nigerian democracy, and it will build further trust in the legislature as an institution altogether. Now, before I close, I want to thank the leadership of the 10th Assembly, the distinguished President of the Senate, Right Honourable Speaker, all other members of leadership, distinguished senators and honourable members, for living up to the expectations by kickstarting this 10th Assembly with this very important retreat, laying the foundation for the next years and focusing on the most pressing reform needs. In extension, I want to thank our wonderful resource persons for dignifying us with their time and wisdom. I further want to thank our partner, NIELS, the National Institute for Legislative and Democratic Studies, for this very fruitful partnership, for the trust and loyalty put into CAS, and for sharing the goal of strengthening the Nigerian legislature. I especially want to thank my friend, the DG NIELS, Professor Abubakar Sulaiman, who is a true visionary and also a very hard worker, continuously on the go to strengthen Nigerian democracy. Together, we have not only put together this retreat, but over the past years designed many specific training programs and seminars that provide requisite skills, knowledge, and ethical standards to legislators for an overall improved legislative performance. CAS, who likes to follow a holistic approach in our programming, sees it as relevant and valuable contribution to address the leadership of the 10th Assembly at this critical time right on their onset. So CAS has supported the National Assembly for more than 20 years now, and all of us gathered here today realize the turning point. Continue to support the National Assembly and the Nigerian legislature. You can count on our support. We won't shy away from any to support democratic process in Nigeria and to promote governance, democracy, and the rule of law of the development of this beautiful country. Leadership mandate, and I wish you much success in your demanding legislative work. Together you're strong, together you can build the foundations of Nigeria's bright future. Thank you all very much.
Round of applause for her, please. It is actually this program political gladiators who led the National Assembly assembled in one hall for the very first time in many years. All of them, 4 of them, seated together. It has never happened, and I think they deserve a bigger round of applause. This has been made possible by the Director General, National Institute for Legislative Studies, and of course, the presiding officers of the National Assembly. We appreciate your presence. After that goodwill and remarks by the Resident Representative Conrad Adenoa Stiff-Tongue, it is then pertinent that we listen to our hosts. And our host is none other than His Excellency, Pastor Umo Eno Basi, the Executive Governor of Akwa Ibom State, ably represented this morning by an Amazon, Her Excellency Senator Akon Eyahenyi, PhD, Deputy Governor, Akwa Ibom State. Your Excellency, ma, can we please give her a resounding applause as she approaches her podium for her remarks? She's just about making her way here. We appreciate your presence, Senator Solomon Olamilekan Adeola, Chairman, Senate Committee on Appropriations. We appreciate you. Thank you so much for being part of this event.
Andy, Excellency, the Vice President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, Senator Kashim Shettima, GCON. Your Excellency, the Senate President, Federal Republic of Nigeria, my own brother, Senator Dr. Goodwill Akpabio, CON, the Speaker, House of Representatives, His Excellency Right Honorable Abbas Tajuddin, PhD, the leadership and members of the National Assembly, my own revered colleagues, the Chief of Staff to the President, the DG Niels, Institute for Legislative and Democratic Studies, Professor Abubakar O. Suleiman. Please permit me to acknowledge everyone seated in this hall as recognized by the moderator, Mr. Andy. Your Excellency, our special guest of honor, I stand here today not as Deputy Governor of Akwa Ibom State, Senator Akone Yaranyi, but representing a great man, a lover of the people, the Executive Governor of Akwa Ibom State, Pastor Umar Basi Eno, who is unavoidably absent today, but his spirit is here with all of us. He left the shores of Nigeria with the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria to attend the UNGA Summit in New York. He's on his way. Maybe before we all depart here, he will meet with the special guest of honor and the revered delegates. So once more, I want to welcome all to Akwa Ibom State. I have a written remark from the governor to the gathering today. Let me, on behalf of the government and the people of Akwa Ibom State, welcome His Excellency Senator Kashim Shettima, GCON, the Vice President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, the Senate President, our very own, His Excellency Senator Goodwill Akpabio, CON, the Speaker, House of Representatives, Right Honorable Tajuddin Abbas, PhD, the entire leadership of the 10th National Assembly, and the Director General, National Institute for Legislative and Democratic Studies, Professor Abubakar Suleiman, to Akwa Ibom State. Thank you for selecting our dear states, and especially Ikotekpene, which bears the honor of being the first successful experiment by the British in local government administration for this retreat. This is a new Nigeria where national interest trumps partisan and primordial sentiments. The gesture of the leadership of the National Assembly and the National Institute for Legislative and Democratic Studies in holding this retreat here, and the decision of the Vice President to personally attend underscore the pan-Nigerian disposition of the present national leadership under His Excellency President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, GCFR. Permit me to thank His Excellency, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, GCFR, for his spirit of inclusivity and bipartisanship, by his invitation for me to be a part of his delegation to the 78th session of the United Nations General Assembly, UNGA 78, in New York City, the United States of America. This is the reason I'm being represented by my deputy, distinguished Senator Akwa. The presence of the Vice President also attests to the existing cordial relationship between the executive and the National Assembly, and this is development. The inclusive approach to governance, and the need for us to lower the temperature of partisanship and zero-sum game mechanizations. From the moment I subscribed to the oath of office on May 29, I have remained conscious of my duty to all Akwa Ibom people, irrespective of their ethnic origins, political affiliations, religious orientations, and social standings. This awareness has constantly influenced my decisions and dictated my actions, and this has resonated across the states and the nation. Permit me to use this opportunity to commend the federal government's efforts towards ameliorating the suffering of Nigerians occasioned by the withdrawal of fuel subsidy. In the spirit of robust calibration, the Akwa Ibom State government has substantially augmented the palliatives by the federal government to the tune of almost 5 billion naira, and the feedback is quite encouraging. Inspired by Arise agenda, passionate dedication to agricultural revolution, rural development, infrastructural maintenance, security management, and educational advancement. This administration will continue to support the federal government's efforts at making life meaningful for the people, especially those residents in Akwa Ibom State. Let me seize this auspicious moment to once again, on behalf of the Akwa Ibom people, thank the President and the Vice President for their wholehearted support, which culminated in the emergence of our illustrious son and former governor of Akwa Ibom State, His Excellency Senator Goodwill Akpabio, as President of the 10th Senate. We are also grateful to all the distinguished senators who rallied around Senator Akpabio during the contest and who have continued to support his leadership. Although it is Senator Akpabio you see, most of us consider it as a great honor done Akwa Ibom State, so we are thankful to all of you. The appointment of our son, Right Honorable Ekpo, as Minister of State Gas, and the recent nomination of Right Honorable Victor Ontai as Executive Director Project of the Niger Delta Development Commission, NDDC, as well ask Mrs. President's support for the realization of Ibom Deep Sea Port as some of his numerous magnanimous gestures for which Akwa Ibom people are very grateful. We are hopeful that more goodies will come our way. Coming in the early days of the current administration, especially considering the enormous challenges currently facing the nation, this retreat is both appropriate and timely. The times call for a departure from the old methods of doing things, and for obvious reasons, the National Assembly has a crucial role to play in stimulating a new national culture which will underpin our march towards moral rebirth, social stability, and economic prosperity. Needless to say, we are presently at a crucial junction in our socio-economic development, which calls for stock-taking, deep thinking, timely reforms, and deliberate actions. This is why this retreat is a welcome development. Once again, thank you for choosing Akwa Ibom as the venue for this historic retreat. We treasure the peace we enjoy here, our world-class infrastructure, and especially our rich road network, our exquisite cuisines, the indomitable spirit of our people who today collectively have a reason to chart a golden era for the state. I am sure most of you came with our pride airline, the Ibom Air. I wish you a memorable experience and fruitful deliberations. Please do enjoy the ambience of the state, the rich cuisines for which the 4-pound Sheraton by Sheraton is known. Again, after a great day at the retreat, please don't forget to stretch your arms to have a happy hour. And I know the Senate President will do needful to that. God bless you all. I thank you.
That's an invitation to enjoy the very rich cuisines of the Akwa Ibomites. Please, another round of applause for the governor of Akwa Ibom State, Pastor Umar Basieno, speaking there through his deputy governor, Her Excellency Senator Akon Eyakenyi, PhD. Can we please give her another round of applause, please? The next remark is going to be coming from His Excellency, the Deputy Speaker of the House of Representatives. And I'd like that we please make welcome with a very resounding applause. Right Honorable Benjamin Okezie Kalu, the Deputy Speaker of the House of Representatives. Can we have that applause for him one more time, please? Oh, sorry.
Your Excellency, the Vice President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, Senator Kashim Shettima, GCON, Your Excellency, the President of the Senate, the uncommon governor now, the uncommon President of the Senate, Senator Goodwill, Akpabio, CON, Your Excellency, my boss, the Speaker of the House of Representatives, Right Honorable Tajuddin Abbas, PhD, Your Excellency, the Executive Governor of Akwa Ibom State, Pastor Mo Obasi, ably represented by our very own Deputy Governor, Senator Ekon Iyakenyi, Your Excellency, the Deputy President of the Senate, distinguished Senator Jibrin Barao, Your Excellencies, the presiding officers, former presiding officers of the National Assembly, too numerous to mention. But let me also mention the Chief of Staff to the President, our own Right Honorable Femi Gbajabiamila, the DG of NASS. Kindly permit me to stand on the existing protocol for want of time because we started a little later than we had expected. Distinguished leaders of the 10th National Assembly, I extend my heartfelt greetings to each one of you as we convene for this momentous retreat. Our purpose here is important because it is, to my mind, to unite more the leadership of both chambers of the National Assembly to share our collective experiences, especially with our former presiding officers, to identify the foremost priorities for the 10th National Assembly, and most significantly, to craft strategic legislative objectives that will chart the course of our respective chambers. As we embark on this retreat, let us be aware that our objectives and deliberations are closely intertwined with the 8-point agenda articulated by our esteemed President, His Excellency Bola Ahmed Tinubu, and his inspiring Renewed Hope Manifesto. It is therefore incumbent upon us to ensure that our legislative pursuits harmonize seamlessly with the aspirations of our great nation and its visionary leadership. The primary objective of this leadership retreat, to my mind, is to equip our leadership with the necessary tools to effectively fulfill the legislative mandate encompassing lawmaking, oversight functions, and agenda setting in our representation. In the face of economic challenges and prevailing uncertainties, it is paramount that our leadership is well prepared and well informed. To navigate such complexities, we require a clear path forward, one that is guided by knowledge and reinforced by evidence-based decision-making rooted in data collection from the constituents. As we convene here today, let us recognize that our role demands a commitment to make informed choices, ensuring that we lead from a position of strength, a position of understanding, and ultimately working toward the betterment of our great nation. Ladies and gentlemen, in addressing our legislative responsibilities, one facet stands out as pivotal, holding the key to effective governance and national development, and that is the comprehensive and meticulous conduct of needs assessment for bill making as well as other representative functions. Our role as legislators extends far beyond the hallowed chambers, as you know, of the National Assembly. It encompasses the welfare and aspiration of every Nigerian citizen. In our relentless pursuit of a more perfect Nigerian union, we must elevate the importance of data in our decision-making processes. We must align with the principles of participatory democracy, which champion public engagement in our legislative endeavors. This engagement serves as the bedrock for harvesting needs analysis, results directly from the voices and the experiences of our fellow citizens. We must acknowledge that the raw material for our legislative work should emanate from the unbiased, data-driven input of the people we represent. The facts and data we collect through rigorous, numerous efforts towards this data collection needs assessment should not merely serve as statistics. They should not just be data recorded somewhere in a piece of paper. Rather, they should be the guiding light that illuminates the path to more effective legislative procedures and products. After all, we craft laws for the people, and it is only equitable that the people actively shape the society they envision. This call to action resonates profoundly with the principles of democracy, principles of transparency, accountability, credibility, and inclusivity. The pressing question that warrants our collective introspection is this: how many of these facts and data are rigorously processed and genuinely considered by the legislature, an institution vested with the power of the purse and significant authority over our nation's budget? Do we truly incorporate the needs and aspirations of the people when sculpting our national budget? Or do we leave this critical task to the discretion of the heads of MDAs, who may not always prioritize the greater good due to ignorance of facts and data from the people we represent? In our pursuit of effective governance and national development, data must be the bedrock upon which our legislative interventions are built. We must adopt a meticulous approach, utilizing models such as scale of preference and prioritization that take into account the pulse of our nation, politically, socially, economically, while acknowledging that all issues are of importance. We must at all times recognize that some are more urgently pressing than others. It is our responsibility to discern the nation's most immediate needs and address them accordingly with the speed of light, especially when presented by the executives, and if it is the reflection of the yearning of our people. This data-driven approach not only reflects the principles of good governance, but also ensures that our legislative actions are tailored to the evolving needs of our people. The significance of planning with facts cannot be overstated. History has repeatedly shown that planning without facts leads to retrogression and counterproductive consequences for developing nations like ours. It results in inefficient resource utilization, loss of revenue, misallocation of priorities, and the impediment of our national development efforts. This challenge, my esteemed colleagues, we must confront head-on. I want to take this moment to extend our heartfelt appreciation to the National Institute for Legislative and Democratic Studies, NILS, and the Coral Adednio Stephen KAS. Their dedication to facilitating this retreat is laudable and deeply appreciated. Their commitment to strengthening our legislative processes and democratic institutions is a testament to their vision of a better Nigeria. It is desirable, with the leadership of my principal, the Speaker, and the President of the Senate, that this capacity building is escalated seriatim to the leadership of committees and members of Parliament, management staff of National Assembly, and legislative aides. It is only then that we can be on the same page and mitigate the imperfections created by the attrition of parliamentarians in every election cycle, while covering institutional gap, which currently reflects our reality. In conclusion, let us all be aware that it is the solemn imperative of the legislature to craft the laws that will shape our nation's destiny. With dedication and the collective collaborations of all, we can craft legislations and devise efficient oversight strategies that not only mirrors our national aspiration, but propels us towards a brighter, more prosperous future. My leaders, ladies and gentlemen, that is the responsibility of Parliament, and that is what we are commissioned to do as per the provisions of Section 88 and 89 of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Thank you, and let us embark on this journey of planning with facts and purpose for the betterment of our beloved nation. God bless you and God bless the Federal Republic of Nigeria.
Thank you very much, Your Excellency, the Deputy Speaker of the House of Representatives. At this point in time, Your Excellency, very distinguished ladies and gentlemen, it is the turn of the Deputy President of the Senate of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, Your Excellency, distinguished Senator Barau Jibrin, CON, to then speak to us. Please can we welcome him in the same capacity.
Your Excellency, the Vice President, Federal Republic of Nigeria, Senator Kashim Shettima, GCON, Your Excellency, the President of the Senate, Senator Goodwill Akwa, CON, the Speaker of the House of Representatives, Right Honorable Tajan Abbas, PhD, the Deputy Speaker of the House of Representatives, Right Honorable Benjamin Kalu, His Excellency, the Governor of Akwa State, ably represented by the Deputy Governor, the Leader of the Senate and other principal officers of the Senate, the Leader of the House of Representatives and other principal officers of the House of Representatives, the Chief of Staff, the President and other former Senate Presidents and former Speaker of the House of Representatives, distinguished persons, distinguished invited guests, gentlemen of the press, ladies and gentlemen. It is a great honor and privilege for me to present a Goodwill message in this historic and very important retreat. First of all, let me commend the National Institute for Legislative and Democratic Studies, NILS, under the leadership of the Director General of the Institute, Professor Abubakar O. Suleiman, for organizing this retreat, and also commend the President of the Senate, Senator Godswill Akpabio, for choosing the wonderful state of Akwa Ibom to be the venue of this retreat. It is a fact that there is no better time to conduct this retreat than now, as we are preparing to resume our legislative duties in the next few days after our first yearly vacation of the 10th National Assembly. It is of note that our committees that were constituted in both chambers of the National Assembly just before we went on recess are going to start working full force as we resume next week. Thus, this retreat is going to help the leadership of the both chambers of the National Assembly to be better equipped with the knowledge, skills, and other legislative leadership attributes to successfully lead the 10th Senate, the 10th National Assembly towards achieving the best legislative performance. It is my hope that this retreat will provide us the opportunity to interact positively amongst ourselves in order to facilitate the exchange of ideas and experiences that will culminate into the identification of priorities which shall form the fulcrum of the legislative agenda to be pursued by each chamber of the 10th National Assembly. It is hoped that the retreat shall strengthen the existing bond amongst us and the 10th leadership of the National Assembly so as to provide the most conducive legislative environment for the operation of the 10th National Assembly. I therefore wish us a very productive retreat that shall help to allow the leadership of the both chambers of the National Assembly to gather more skills, expertise, and the wherewithal to provide necessary leadership that shall propel the 10th National Assembly to a greater height. As we said to begin this retreat, let us work in conjunction with the ideals of the Renew Hope agenda of the President and Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, His Excellency Bola Ahmed Tinubu, so that the executive arm of government and the legislature shall work on the same wavelength, in order to enhance our security, rejuvenate our economy, and bring in general prosperity to our nation. I wish us happy and fruitful retreat, and I thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Your Excellency, for your kind words of encouragement to the organizers of this event. And of course, the objectives of these retreats cannot be overemphasized. First is to deliberate on the vision of the 10th National Assembly as outlined in the draft legislative agenda of the Senate and House of Representatives, identify strategic legislative objectives for the 10th Assembly and strategies for achieving them, and of course enhance inter-chamber synergy for efficient consideration of legislative proposals and much more. Your Excellencies, very distinguished ladies and gentlemen, I'd like that we give the management of NILS and the National Assembly a big round of applause in that direction. And may I also remind us, just before we get to that point, but just to remind us that there will be gala night and dinner by 8 p.m. this evening after the plenaries by 8 p.m. in the evening. Thank you very much. Moving on very quickly, it is time for me to invite the immediate past Speaker of the House of Representatives, His Excellency, the Right Honorable Femi Gbajabiamila CFR, who doubles today as the Chief of Staff to the President and former Speaker of the House of Representatives, to please at this point come to the podium for his remarks of goodwill. Can we hear that applause for him one more time? Your Excellency, sir.
The Vice President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, the Senate President, Speaker of the House, leadership of the National Assembly, and the past presiding officers here present, allow me to stand on the rest of the protocol as established. I want to thank you, first of all, for the invitation to join you today. The true test of government policies and programs is its ability to improve the lives and circumstances of citizens in measurable ways. We have gathered here in the lovely Akwa, Ibom state for the express purpose of improving our individual and shared ability to be better stewards of the governing mandate we each and collectively hold on behalf of the millions of Nigerians at home and abroad who desire a better country for themselves and for their children. It was indeed heartening driving from the airport with Senator Akpabio, who did not waste any time from the time we embarked upon we got into the bus till we got to this destination, showing us landmarks and the beauty of the city and how indeed uncommon he was as a governor. Thank you very much, Senator Akpabio, for that tour and for the city guide. Well, I'm also heartened by the attendance of this retreat. And I'm also impressed by the programs of events I have seen. It is evident that the leaders of the 10th National Assembly are acutely aware of the governance or challenges that abound and are determined to confront and overcome them with the most effective strategies possible. This is what the Nigerian people expect from us, and we will deliver by the grace of God. From what I can see, I believe this is perhaps the first time the leadership of the National Assembly will organize a retreat for the leadership in this particular format. It is indeed for me an indication that the 10th Assembly And excuse me, my partner will, in the 9th Assembly, Senator Lawa will excuse me for saying this. It is an indication, quite honestly, that the 10th Assembly will be better than the 9th. Just as the 9th Assembly was better than the 8th. Now, this for me is as should be for us to have progressivism and developmental strides. So I commend the leadership for that. Now, as this retreat has been explicitly organized for legislators, I hope that by the time we are done, we will have considered ideas and come up with actionable recommendations that will serve not only to improve the legislature, but also indeed the executive arm of government. I especially hope that we will come out of this retreat conscious of the continued need to ensure that in designing policies and proposing legislation, we keep sight of the absolute necessity of ensuring alignment between the legislative objectives and the executive imperatives, as is necessary to ensure the smooth operation of the federal government. I am glad to be here, and I thank you all for your service to our country, and I wish you a successful retreat. I thank the organizers and leadership of the National Assembly, as many who have stood here before me have thanked them. But more importantly, I thank and commend my past leaders who are here, the former presiding officers of the National Assembly. I say more importantly that I thank them because for the leadership of the National Assembly, this is almost obligatory. You can say they had no choice but to do this. But for the likes of Ken Nnamani, David Mark, Pius Anyim, Patricia Ete, it is not obligatory for them to be here. It is only those that have an abiding faith in Nigeria and a deep commitment to nation building that will take 2 days out of their very busy schedule, especially on a weekend, to travel all the way to this beautiful state and to continue the good work that they started. So I commend you and I thank you. God bless you, and God bless the Federal Republic of Nigeria.
Thank you very much. The former Speaker of the House of Representatives, Chief of Staff to the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, Right Honorable Femi Gbajabiamila, CFR. Please, another warm round of applause for him. The next speech is going to be coming from the number 4 citizen of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. I'd therefore like to yield the floor very humbly and honorably to His Excellency, the Right Honorable Abbas Tajuddin, PhD, the Speaker of the House of Representatives, and the man effecting the change in this 10th Assembly, as especially this House of Representatives. Can we please have that warm round of applause to invite him over to his podium? The Right Honorable Speaker, sir.
Your Excellency, Senator Kashim Shettima, GCON Vice President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, Your Excellency, Distinguished Senator Goodwill Akpabio, CON President of the Senate and Chairman Governing Council of NILS, Your Excellency, Distinguished Senator Jibrin Barrow, CON, Deputy President of the Senate and Senate Committee Chairman on Constitutional Review, Your Excellency, Right Honorable Benjamin Kalu, Deputy Speaker, House of Representatives and Chairman, Committee on Constitutional Review of the House of Representatives, Your Excellency, the governor of Akwa Ibom, ably represented by one of our own, the deputy governor, Your Excellency Right Honorable Femi Bajabiamila, CFR, immediate past chair speaker of the House of Representatives and the chief of staff to the president, Your Excellency distinguished Senator Ayim Pius Ayim, GCON, former Senate President of the 4th Senate and the former Secretary to the Government of the Federation, Your Excellency distinguished Senator Ken Inamani, GCON, former President of the 5th Senate, Your Excellency distinguished Senator David A.B. Mark, GCON, former President of the 6th and the 7th Senate, Your Excellency distinguished Senator Ahmad Ibrahim Lawan, GCON, immediate past President of the Senate, Your Excellency Senator Akon Akakinyi, PhD Deputy Governor of Akwa Ibom, Your Excellency Right Honorable Olubimi Patricia Eten, CFR, former Speaker of the 6th House of Representatives, Your Excellency distinguished Leader of the Senate, distinguished Senator Dr. Michael Opeyemi Bamidele, the Leader of the House of Representatives, Right Honorable Professor Julius Hoveri, OON, Principal Officers of both Senate and House of Representatives present, distinguished Senators and Honorable Members of the House of Representatives present, Members of the Federal Executive Council present, Speaker of Akwa Ibom State House of Assembly, Right Honorable Udume Otong, and members of the State House of Assembly. Executive Chairman, National Assembly Service Commission, Engineer Ahmed Kadi Amshi, FNSAE, Clerk to the National Assembly, Alhaji Sani Magaji Tambuwal, ably represented by the Permanent Secretary, Finance and Accounts of the National Assembly, Mr. Clement Inyang. The Chief Convener of this retreat, former Minister of National Planning and DG Nigerian Institute of Legislative and Democratic Studies, Professor Abubakar O. Suleiman. Honorable Abimbola Ayu Yusuf, Honorable Chief Commissioner, Public Complaints Commission, and commissioners here present, members of Akwa Ibom State Executive Council, Your Excellency Johannes Lehne, Deputy Head of Mission, Embassy of the Federal Republic of Germany to Nigeria, former Clerk to the National Assembly, Alhaji Sani Mohammed Omolori, our great partners, Conrad Adeniran Stifton, led by the country representative Marija Peran, our distinguished, revered, and carefully selected resource persons, members of the Fourth Estate of the Realm, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. I am delighted to be here at this very important occasion of the Niels Kaas retreat for the leadership of the 10th National Assembly. This retreat could not have come at a better time in our legislative journey, and I must sincerely thank the National Institute for Legislative and Democratic Studies for providing this platform. As we prepare for resumption after the annual recess, this retreat provides an opportunity to share valuable ideas and experiences that will further reinforce our capacity to do the people's work at whose behest and command we were elected. There is no gainsaying the fact that the 10th National Assembly appears to be the most challenged in our nation's democratic history. It witnessed the highest legislative turnover since 1989, with the election of a majority of our new members in the two chambers. The composition of the 10th National Assembly is also very diverse, with many political parties having formidable memberships. The 10th National Assembly was also inaugurated at a point where multidimensional poverty data is high and advocacy for youth and women's participation in governance and politics is heightened. Economic growth figures have also not been as desired. Inflation is in double digits, and concerns for the value of Naira are at the forefront of national discussions across all platforms. Amid these domestic challenges, emerging issues from the international community also have implications for the President Bola Ahmed Tinubu-led administration, of which the 10th National Assembly is a part. As such, this retreat is timely and welcome as it offers the leadership of the 10th National Assembly the opportunity to draw from the experiences of the resource persons and the discussions that would emanate from this meeting to enhance its operation and performance, which would also strengthen the contribution of legislative governance to the overall process of governance that our country needs at this point in history. Distinguished colleagues, we have indeed been called to serve our dear country at a period when an average citizen craves to live a secured life. Our children, the leaders of tomorrow, want to carry on with their education without the fear of disrupted academic sessions. The farmer in the remotest corner of our country desires to till his land unmolested by bandits. Travelers commuting from one part of this vast and richly endowed country to the other want to travel on well-tarred roads without the anxiety and looming specter of being kidnapped. Our graduates desire gainful employment to enable them fulfill their financial obligations to themselves and to their families. The budding creative genius wants a conducive and enabling environment that will make it possible for him to flourish. This retreat, therefore, is an auspicious moment to reflect and prepare for the days ahead. On that note, let me seize the opportunity to commend the Director General of NIS for the various opportunities the Institute has created for the capacity development of the members of the National Assembly. Just recently, the Institute hosted the first Women in Governance Conference, which by every standard was a success. I also congratulate management of the Institute for ensuring that NILS commenced operation from its permanent site. These efforts and many more are evidence of commitment to the overall good governance process of the National Assembly. At the House of Representatives, we have prepared a legislative agenda which will be unveiled on resumption. The agenda is bold, ambitious, and draws its strength from the people. It reflects our belief that citizens' engagement is the fulcrum of representative democracy. It will drive progress, wealth, creation, and inclusivity in our country. The strategic legislative objectives exposed in the agenda underscores the determination, commitment, and single-minded dedication of the House in driving ideas and policies that meet the yearnings and aspirations of our people. We have taken steps towards improving legislative governance outcomes that will contribute to national development. Through our committees, we have continued to engage with labor and trade unions to address the challenges they face. This engagement has also been extended to other sectors of the economy, such as education, health, and other concerns that seek to enhance the welfare of youth, women, excluded persons, and other vulnerable groups. There is, however, room for more innovative engagements as time goes on. This is particularly important as most committees chairmen are new and even more so for the membership of these committees. To demonstrate our commitment to ensure an efficient and vibrant House, we created committees on monitoring and evaluation. The first committee on monitoring and evaluation will supervise the implementation of the legislative agenda of the House, which is an internal mechanism of making sure that the agenda is meticulously followed. The second monitoring and evaluation committee, which is responsible for monitoring the performance of our standing committees, will essentially oversight activities to ensure timely reports and compliance to the rules and standards of our legislative practice. I'm therefore very pleased for the opportunity offered by this treat to reflect and engage with colleagues on how we can collectively, as the legislature, contribute to the attainment of the 8-point agenda of our dear President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, as expressed in the renewed Hope agenda. I'm happy that the leadership of the National Institute for Legislative and Democratic Studies has carefully chosen topics that include agenda setting for the 10th National Assembly. These perspectives are vital as they reinforce the need for the 10th National Assembly to operate as one legislature, drawing its initiatives from a central perspective for the 10th National Assembly and not as a separate entities in that regard. My dear colleagues, while the principles of checks and balance and separation of powers require the legislature to be independent, the task of national development requires that the three arms of government be in symphony to ensure this administration delivers on its promises on national development. I feel excited to see that topics such as legislative, executive, and judicial relations have also been captured in this retreat. I therefore commend the leadership of the National Institute for Legislative and Democratic Studies for this retreat. There is no doubt that the platform will, among other things, improve executive legislative harmony, foster collaboration, and facilitate the exchange of ideas that will lead to more effective legislative work in the 10th National Assembly. Thank you, and God bless the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Thank you all for listening. Wish you happy deliberation. Thank you so much.
Indeed, citizen engagement is the fulcrum of democracy. The words of the Speaker of the House of Representatives. Can we please give him another round of applause? Your Excellencies, because he has also re-echoed that citizen engagement is a fulcrum of democracy, I want us to please permit me at this juncture, Your Excellency, our special guest of honor, to indulge us a little bit as we engage the citizens of Akwa Ibom State at this particular time, culturally, as we invite the Dukas Cultural Group to please take 5 minutes only, especially to entertain our teaming guests and our special guest of honor. Dukas Cultural Troupe, 5 minutes only, please. Thank you. Thank you.
Thumbs down.
Thank you very much. Please let's give them another round of applause. Your Excellency, our special guest of honor, you haven't seen anything yet when it comes to cultural entertainment in Akwa Ibom State. And this was made possible by the former governor of Akwa Ibom State, President of the Senate today, who insisted that Akwa Ibomites will not be house helps. Akwa Ibomites will get to have to go to the highest of education, and today Akwa Ibomites are proudly graduates and doing even better in every sphere of human endeavor. We'd like to appreciate Your Excellency, the President of the Senate. We also just got news from the government house that the governor of Akwa Ibom is just on his way here, and perhaps before His Excellency rounds off his speech, he might be joining us, Your Excellency. We'd like to appreciate you, and moving on very quickly, I then want to invite the man, the pace setter, the man who laid the foundation for the modern day Akwa Ibom State that you are seeing, the uncommon reformer, the man who built this very four-point Sheraton that we are sitting in, and so many other gigantic structures in Akwa Ibom State. You have also seen the roads for yourselves, Your Excellencies. The roads here are completely different from roads in some other states of the Federation. That is owing to the visionary leadership that was brought about by His Excellency, the man I'm about to introduce. Your Excellencies, I invite the uncommon President of the Senate, leading a 10th uncommon Senate of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, himself uncommon in very diverse ways. Please join me, if your hands are not very busy, to welcome His Excellency, Distinguished Senator Dr. Godswill Akpabio, CON, President of the Senate, for his remarks. Your Excellency, the President of the Senate, sir.
Your Excellency, the Vice President, Federal Republic of Nigeria, and our own very ebullient, distinguished former colleague, now the Vice President of Nigeria, Senator Kashim Shettima, GCON. My brother, the Right Honorable Speaker, Right Honorable Tajuddin Abbas, Speaker, House of Representatives, and the alternate chairman of the Governing Council of NILS. Your Excellency, the Governor of Akwa Ibom State, now represented by another very distinguished colleague, now Deputy Governor of Akwa Ibom State, my dear sister Akwa, Your Excellency, my brother, Deputy Senate President of the 10th Senate of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, my brother, Senator Jibrin Barao, CON. Your Excellency, the Deputy Speaker, House of Representatives, my dear brother, Ben Kalu, Your Excellency, the Chief of Staff to Mr. President and immediate past Speaker of the House of Representatives, our own brother, Femi Gbajabiamila, CFR. Let me, with the permission of the Vice President, rest on existing protocols. I want to join to commend the leadership of NILS for this wonderful retreat. Our dear Vice President, your presence here today to honor not just NILS, but to honor the leadership of the 10th National Assembly. It's a very big statement to respect and intention of the executive arm of the federal government to partner with the legislature. We don't take this for granted. Thank you very much, sir. We know that you and our dear, and your principal, our dear President, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, you are steering the ship of state at a very difficult time, very turbulent waters, economically, in terms of security, and in terms of the economy of the country. But we are collectively praying that God Almighty will guide both of you and guide the rest of us who are there to help you to succeed and take Nigeria through these very difficult times. So let's start by congratulating your principal, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, for the wonderful speech that he just delivered at the ongoing UNGA, United Nations General Assembly in New York. It was very captivating and major statement from an African leader. So please extend our congratulations to him on his return. We must also commend you for the steps you and your principal have taken so far since your assumption of duties as President and Vice President of our dear country. We had a cancer that almost killed Nigeria. We're almost entering the fourth stage of that cancer, and that was the fuel subsidy issue. You took very prompt action. We may be passing through difficult times now, but the leadership of the National Assembly, with all Nigerians, are very grateful for the bold steps you have taken, and we assure you that despite the sufferings, we'll stand by you to ensure that that cancer is totally removed from our midst. We also want to say that so far, the policies you've churned out are such that we are very hopeful that with the right partnership with the three arms of government, that this country will definitely get to the promised land. To tell Mr. President that just like Liverpool Club, the mantra of the 10th Senate of the Federal Republic of Nigeria is that the executive shall never walk alone. You will not walk alone. We'll be there all the way with you. So, my dear colleagues, the leadership of the 10th National Assembly, I'm very excited to notice the fact that once you are a member of the House of Representatives or you are a senator, the spirit remains with you forever. Hence the attendance in this retreat today. If you look around you, you will see that the list of protocol is very long. Even from the Chief of Staff to Mr. President, himself an immediate past presiding officer. We go around to our leaders, our elder statesmen, from distinguished Senator Ken Namani, GCON, all the way to my distinguished leader in the person of David Mark, GCON. I almost made a mistake to call you Major Mark. You are very popular in Port Harcourt as a major in my time. And of course, my dear brother, Paul Ezenyim, and former SGF, GCON, we are delighted. Our sister is also here, Patricia Ite, and the immediate past, I call him Emeritus Senate President, my brother Ahmed Lawan, GCON. We are very, very happy to see all of you. I know one day God will also keep me alive to join you and sit like that to watch the next Senate President, by the grace of God. So we in the leadership, speaking on behalf of the principal officers of both chambers, we are very excited with the attendance to look around and see even former clerks of National Assembly. Many of them are here. You turn around, you will know them. They are all here because of the commitment, retired but not tired, here to add value to what we are doing. The Executive Chairman of the National Assembly Service Commission is also here, and even distinguished senators from within the precincts of this retreat. Most of them are also here. Senator Ekong Samson of Akwa Ibom said he's here, and we also have Senator Ndubweze, all the way representing the Southeast, is also here. And we have the man that represents the pulse of the Senate, Senator Yayi. I hope you are prepared to her. Chairman Appropriation is also here. So we are very delighted to have all of you in our midst. So for me, as the Senate President, in this retreat, I'm one of the students. I'm here to listen to those who have had the experience, to narrate some of the experiences and guide us in the task of repositioning the 10th Senate. That is why we are here. So, Your Excellency the Vice President, I'm speaking as a student. I'm part of the students. Very soon I will go down to the floor to listen to all of them. And I want to thank the Governor of Akwa Ibom State that yes, indeed, we believe strongly in the Senate and in the National Assembly that we are going to work across party lines. This state currently is a PDP state. So we don't believe in political party in the Senate and in the National Assembly. So we know that today it is PDP, tomorrow it may end up being APC when next you visit. So we thank the Deputy Governor for holding forth for the Governor, and we also thank the Governor who called me while I was at the airport awaiting the arrival of the Vice President that he had to cut short his trip to New York. He had landed in Lagos, he was on his way here, and before we stand up from here, that he will be here. And I told him, even your deputy was enough. He said, no, I have to physically be here, because this caliber of personages, our personalities that shape the Nigerian political space have never visited Akwa Ibom State, that this is an uncommon gathering. So he is also making an uncommon sacrifice. So digenius, so you can see. And I was just whispering to His Excellency the Vice President that he has so far also churned out uncommon appointments, which I must comment too, if you permit me, because they are part of the retreat today. Your Excellency thanked the President for us, for the appointment of Professor Hakim Baba Ahmed. I used to watch him on television, and to imagine him now, not just a strong APC chieftain, but chairman of the think tank of the Northern Elders Forum, and now a special advisor to Mr. President on Political Affairs, Hakim Baba Ahmed. We are happy to welcome you to Akwa Ibom State. Another uncommon move. We must also thank the President for the addition of Professor Aliu Umar Modibo. Modibo is not new to the villa. He has been there even as FCT Minister, and then today he has been appointed also by Mr. President as Special Advisor on Special Duties. And Your Excellency the Vice President, they are constantly with you. You cannot go wrong. So also welcome to the land of uncommon transformation. Now, so to say that Niels has done well is to repeat what others have already stated. But let me just add my voice. I believe that when the decision to come to Ikot was made, a lot of people probably did not understand why. This was the first experimental local government administration by the colonial masters in Nigeria. And where we are, I must say, was a prison. This location was a prison. So let me just add that sometime in 1953 or thereabout, 1853, a prison was constructed here. And when I grew up, what I saw the walls of prison. And I saw elders constantly coming out with prison uniform as a child. So we were meant to have that mentality that when you grow old to become an adult, you end up in the prison. That was what the colonial masters left for us here. So in my time, I said I must do two things. Number one, I must stop the houseboy, housegirl syndrome that tended to be the lot of this state. And number two, I must stop the prison mentality. So I declared free and compulsory education for all Nigerian children who found their way into this state. And today, many of them are graduates. I had to add over 6,000 classroom blocks. I had to add a new polytechnic. I thank God for the federal government that afforded me what. I also built a new state university, and I graduated the pioneer students before I left. I expanded schools and tripled school enrollment for all Nigerian children. Then I brought down the walls of the prison here that had existed for 108 years. And then I built a brand new prison. We became the first correctional center in Nigeria, somewhere in the suburbs. And then I decided to turn the old prison to where what you are seeing now. So two things I did. I closed the doors of prison here and opened the doors of schools. Then I now open the door of hospitality. That's why you are all comfortable. So welcome to the new era. In essence, government should be about transformation. And I believe, like the former speaker pointed out, that other senates have succeeded. But the 10th Senate may be the best. Under your leadership, the 10th National Assembly is poised to do exactly what you have just prophesied. You were not the one speaking. God was speaking through you. Thank you for that prophecy. So I join others to say, yes, indeed, we'll listen to all of you. We'll take notes. We'll do our best to be good students. And at the end of this retreat, we'll definitely go back to guide our colleagues so I can contribute our quota towards nation building and towards giving hope, renewed hope to all Nigerians. Somebody once asked John the Baptist, are you the one who is to come, or shall we look for another? And he said, the person that is coming, I may not even be able to touch the lace of his shoes. People are asking, yes, we have had many presidents, but this is the first time we are having a core politician as president of the country. Is President Bola Ahmed Tinubu the one who is to come, or do we wait for another? In the same vein, other Nigerians are asking, we have had many senates, but the 10th Senate has arrived with an uncommon approach to leadership. Is it the one that is to come, or shall we look for another? So myself and my brother, the Right Honorable Speaker, we are very determined to ensure that this 10th National Assembly makes the difference and answers the question. So my friends and dear colleagues, let us not make the mistake of thinking of the problems of APC, if any, or thinking of the confusion in PDP, if any, or thinking of the mentality of Labour, if any, or even thinking that SDP may soon come, which may never happen. Because we must come together to correct the errors of the past. We face a collective action. There was almost erosion of hope in the governance. But today, we are faced with the reality that, yes, indeed, if we do not do something, then Nigerians will never have hope, and Africans will be affected. I was in Kenya some time back, and the then Vice President, in welcoming me, said, my brother, my neighbor has just delivered a Nigerian. I said, who? How long has the man lived here? He said, no, it is not, the father is Kenyan, and the mother is Kenyan. I said, how then is the child a Nigerian? And the then Vice President answered me and said that that child is the fourth child in the family. I said, I don't get it. He said, no. Outside Nigeria, all Africans, all black people believe strongly that 1 out of every 4 black person you come across in the world is a Nigerian. That shows the enormity of the responsibility bestowed on our shoulders by the global community. 1 out of every black person you see in the world today is a Nigerian. So as we are seated here, we do not take it for granted. The kind of confidence reposed in us by the Nigerian electorate to give us the opportunity to steer the ship of state. I'm aware that after this leadership retreat, the Senate, I will discuss with the Speaker later, we have intention in the month of October to also undertake a major retreat for all the senators of the 10 Senate. I know the House of Representatives will plan their own, but because of the number, we have to look at the location. If you think that this transformation you are seeing, driving all the way from the airport to this place without any pothole, sitting in a very comfortable environment that used to be a prison, is a beautiful location for the transformation you intend to bring to Nigeria, then bring the next retreat to Akwa Ibom State, and we shall be happy to welcome you. You know, there is this story about one of the world's best musical conductors, Sir Michael Costa. His massive orchestra was rehearsing. Trumpets were blaring. The drums were booming. The trumpets and the trombones were all pulsating. Then the violins electrified the atmosphere with sweet melodies. The piccolo was a very tiny musical instrument. The piccolo player said to himself, what good am I doing right here? I might just as well not be playing. Nobody can hear me at all. So he kept the tiny instrument to his mouth without blowing it. Suddenly, Sir Costa paused and shouted, stop, stop. Where is the piccolo? Where is the piccolo? The man was shocked that a musical maestro could notice that the piccolo was not blowing. In every situation you find yourself as a leader, do your best. If your child suddenly ventures into drugs, people will ask, where are the parents of this child? We will not wait for Nigerians to ask, where is the National Assembly? We are very poised to undertake our oversight functions. We are poised to check the actions of the executive. We are poised to check the legislations that were made in the past, so that when the judiciary makes pronouncements, Nigerians will not ask, where is the piccolo? Where is the National Assembly that ought to make amendment to these acts? Where is the National Assembly that ought to oversight that minister that could have taken this kind of action? Our assurance to you all is that the piccolo, under our leadership, myself and my brother, Tajuddin Abbas, will definitely do his part by blowing the trumpet. Welcome, and God be with all of us.
Always a delight to listen to, ladies and gentlemen, the Uncommon President of the Uncommon Senate, Federal Republic of Nigeria, there talking to you. And I'd like that we please give him yet another very resounding applause. Thank you very, very much. Thank you very much. Your Excellency, the stage is set for us to pay rapt attention to yet another distinguished Nigerian, quintessential, ebullient and dependable Vice President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. I yield the floor to Your Excellency, very humbly, Your Excellency, Senator Kashim Shettima, JCON. Can we please give him a deserving standing ovation? Your Excellency, the Vice President, sir.
Please, you can sit down, please. Yes. Senator Akwa Thompson, MSRO, Abadia. So. The President of the Senate, Federal Republic of Nigeria, distinguished Senator Goodwill Akwa, the Speaker of the Federal House of Representatives, Right Honorable Tajuddin Abbas, the Deputy Senate President, distinguished Senator Jibrin Barrow, the Deputy Speaker, Right Honorable Ben Kalu, His Excellency, the Governor of Akwa Ibom State, ably represented by his deputy, the leaders of the House of Representatives and the Senate, our former Speaker and currently the Chief of Staff to the President, former Senate Presidents present here, especially distinguished Senator Ayim Pius Ayim, distinguished Senator Ken Namani, distinguished Senator David Bonaventure Mark, and of course, distinguished Senator Ahmed Ibrahim Lawan. Former Speaker of the House of Representatives, Honorable Patricia Ete. Special advisors to the President, the Deputy Head of Mission, Embassy of the Republic of Germany, Director General, National Institute for Legislative and Democratic Studies, the resident representative of Konrad Adenauer Stiftung, honored guests, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. This day for me feels like a social reunion. For the first time in our history, all the elected heads of our branches of government are produced by the hallowed halls of the National Assembly. For the first time in our history, the heart of the executive branch of our government is serviced by the alumni of the National Assembly. Both the Chief of Staff and the Deputy Chief of Staff to the President are proud alumni of the National Assembly. The First Lady of the Federation is an alumni, so also is the Secretary to the Government of the Federation. I am certain you know what this means. We cannot afford to go to war. Not because we are going to overlook each other's transgressions, but because we are going to engage with those who know the gravity of your work and will never take you for granted. There is no place in this country where you can find a fraternal bond as enduring as the ones that bind the members of the National Assembly. The Deputy Governor of Akwa Ibom State is my sister. We worked closely in spite of our political differences. And I joined the distinguished Senate President in prophesying that in the fullness of time, I think we'll join the same family. Our distinguished former Senate President, Senator David Bonaventure Mark, his own biological daughter, is my protege. She is a member of the House of Representatives, and she won her seat under the platform of the APC. From converging on Abuja to water the dreams, debate the needs, and mitigate the fears of a diverse nation, we have forged friendships that defy the stereotypes of our differences. Term after term, election after election, all our new members return and exit. But the burden of managing a diverse nation has ensured that we cannot afford to tread the path of divisions. So allow me, Your Excellencies, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, to congratulate you and declare that the 10th National Assembly is unquestionably the luckiest we have had so far. You have a president and a vice president who are one of you and recognize the sacrifices you make. President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has with utter certainty reassured us that we are not in government to go to war with the National Assembly. We are here to collaborate and march towards shared values. Our journey as a democratic nation has been marked by trials and triumphs, setbacks and progress, but through it all, the National Assembly has remained steadfast in its commitment to our collective well-being. It is there, within the chambers, that the voices of our diverse constituencies find expression, while the aspirations of our people are transformed into legislative action, and while the foundations of our democracy are continually fortified. The 9th National Assembly, Your Excellencies, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, is a testimonial you need to acknowledge that the vibrancy of democracy isn't determined by the recurrence of conflict between the executive and the legislature. Democracy thrives only while we agree that every voice holds value and each perspective is significant. Governance is a collective responsibility, not a personal endeavor. Our most significant achievements were attained through cooperation and harmony. This is what we seek from you, because we are brothers and sisters in pursuit of a country that serves all of us. As rightly attested to by distinguished Senator Goodwill Akwa, 1 out of every 4 black men is a Nigerian. The trajectory of global growth is facing Africa, and Nigeria will make or mar that transition. By 2050, Nigeria will be the 3rd most populous nation on earth.
Our population will hit 440 million. We will surpass the United States of America. And by the end of the century, Nigeria will be the most populous nation on earth. And what are we going to do with the anticipated demographic bulge? This is a blessed nation. We can turn the anticipated demographic bulge into demographic dividends. I believe with the quality of leadership we have, it will not turn into a demographic disaster that will consume all of us. The 9th National Assembly never treated the legislature as just a debate club, but rather a distinguished institution with a more profound mission. As ambassadors of the nation's diverse interests, we didn't convene in Abuja to engage in vocal contests. Our purpose was to discover unity in our differences. Our presence was to safeguard the interests of our constituents by articulating their wishes and providing them with staunch advocacy. Our ultimate goal was to secure their recognition and representation within the executive branch. Your Excellencies, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, the National Assembly is a complete spectrum of human experience. This is why you will witness eloquent testimonies of your colleagues in defense of reason. This is why you will witness profound debates that will dismantle your age-long assumptions. But in the end, you will realize that we are all bound by our fidelity to the ideals of democracy. Today I stand before you, burdened with an additional responsibility, having been entrusted with the honor of serving as the Vice President of our beloved nation. Although we may no longer share the same chamber, our fraternal bond remains unbreakable, just as our commitment to safeguarding democracy persists. It is this sense of brotherhood and sisterhood, this shared sense of purpose, that has enabled us to navigate the turbulent seas of governance with unwavering resilience and unwavering determination. This reunion of ours is an avenue to remind ourselves that the National Assembly, for being a meeting point of all political parties, ethnicities, religions, and regions, cannot be a war within, cannot be a war among siblings. The 9th National Assembly did exceedingly well. And when a fish starts getting rotten, it starts from the head. The credit for the success of the National Assembly, of the 9th National Assembly, can be attributed largely to the debonair gentleman seated here and the former Speaker of the House of Reps, the Chief of Staff. The task before the 10th National Assembly is mastering the science of converting differences into democracy and democracy into dividends, whether in managing relationships among yourselves or debating the affairs of your constituents. Finally, I want to once again join the uncommon senator. His loquaciousness is matched by his performance. I was quite mesmerized when he started showing us the landmark project that he did while as a governor. From the Bird's Eye Stadium to the state-of-the-art airport to the first-class road infrastructure to this beautiful edifice. Controversial he might well be, but he was the top of his class of 2007. Just like with all humility, I can claim to be the top of my class of 2011. It's my singular honor and privilege to pluck off this retreat. I wish you fruitful deliberations. I wish you well. I wish our leaders, elder statesmen seated here, I'm quite glad. It's a rare opportunity. It's a rare privilege that I will cherish forever to address you. Not because of my pedigree, certainly not because of my physical prowess. Senator Pius, I am Pius, can maul me to pieces. Not because of my intellect. We have PhD holders. Tajuddin Abbas holds PhD. Distinguished Senator Ahmed Ibrahim Lawan is a PhD holder. Professor Julius Oyembere is a reputed professor of political science. Certainly not because of my political sagacity. There are people who have been here far too long in the system than I am. Power is a gift from God. We are going to spend more years of our lives outside power than in power. Power to me is a humbling experience. Power should be used for the good of the people. We are the luckiest amongst Nigerians. We are not better than our next door neighbor. Yesterday, I hosted my classmates from the University of Ibadan, the MSc class of 1991. The best graduating student in my class was from Oladipo. Oladipo is languishing as a DGM in one mediocre bank. He was the best graduating student. That goes to show that we are here not because we are the best of the best, but we are the representatives of our people. We are the representative of the black man. That is the burden we all carry. If Nigeria fails, the black man has failed. Let us make Nigeria work. Thank you, and may God bless the Federal Republic of Nigeria.
We can do better with that round of applause. We can do better. Let it keep coming. Thank you so much, Your Excellency. Thank you very much. Please be seated. Your Excellency, you've gone ahead to declare this retreat open by your very kind remarks. And Your Excellency, I must be honest with you that I have been your boy since your days as governor of Borno State, and I still remain so, sir. I so pledge. And therefore, moving on very quickly, Your Excellency, with your very kind permission, I find it very pertinent and consider it expedient at this juncture. With your very kind, can we have some quiet, please? Can we have some quiet in the hall, please? Thank you. I find it very pertinent and consider it expedient at this juncture, with your very kind permission, Vice President, to allow me to invite the leader of the Senate, Distinguished Senator Dr. Michael Okpeyemi Bamidele, CON, to then move the vote of thanks on behalf of the organizers of this program. Can we please have a warm round of applause for him?
Thank you. Your Excellencies, very distinguished stakeholders, in legislative tradition, when laws are made, there's always the need to include an explanatory memorandum, or sometimes an interpretation clause. What is the explanatory memorandum here? And what are we trying, how are we trying to interpret our act? There was a little argument among our protocol officers as to whether or not this vote of thanks should come before that brilliant speech from our erudite Vice President, or whether it should come after. To those who felt it should come before, it is simply keeping in line with the popular belief in our climb that after the president or the vice, that after the governor or the deputy, whoever is the chief executive that we have, no one speaks. The global best practice standard is not that no one speaks after the president or the vice president, as we have had it. the global best practice is that a vote of thanks is meant to be a vote of thanks. It is not a time to regurgitate the entire protocol list that would have been mentioned several times. It is not the time to analyze speeches earlier made. It is not the time to make policy statements. It's a time simply to say thank you, so that you don't bore the chief executive and other stakeholders, so that you don't make people, including the chief executive, to listen to another speech. There shall be no speech after that of the guest of honor. But whoever is delivering the vote of thanks will speak. And every other person will also speak, or in fact even sing the national anthem. So, in compliance with global best practice standard, I say to His Excellency the Vice President for his time and attention, to the President of the Senate and the Speaker who considered it necessary to put this capacity building program together, to the elders and leaders of our institution, the National Assembly, the former presiding officers from both chambers, to the former heads of bureaucracies of the National Assembly who are here in their large number, as well as the current members of the bureaucracy of the National Assembly, to our development partners, and of course to all critical stakeholders, including former and serving members of the National Assembly, to the leadership of NEWS, and all those who have come here to teach us and enhance our capacity. On behalf of the principal officers, I say thank you, and God bless you.
This is Channels Television, your home for the news. And you've been on to our live coverage of a two-day retreat for the leadership of the 10th National Assembly, holding in Akwa, Ibom State. And this signals the end of the broadcast as we now continue with the rest of our programming for the day. Stay with us.
You've been watching a live Channels Television event.